So today is all about feed sack potatoes. We don't really have the room, or I should say we have the room for growing potatoes. We don't really have the space made for growing potatoes. So last year it was one of those things where we happened to have some seed potatoes, but we didn't have a space ready for them, and again this year as well. So last year I ended up getting my hands on a bunch of feed sacks. If you go to a local farm, they might have a ton of these. This is really great for anyone wanting to plant potatoes in an urban area or really anywhere and you don't have a space for potatoes. You can grow them in a lot of containers, and the nice thing about them is that they don't take up a lot of space. You use less soil. You can control your amendments and your watering and everything, and at the end of the year you just dump them out and go hunting for your potatoes. So last year we did it and it was great, and so we're going to be doing it again this year. So I wanted to show you how we do it. So I've got a variety of potatoes that I ordered from our local greenhouse. I've got a Sieglinde, which seems to be quite popular amongst potato growers / eaters. I got a Norland Red, which again is another pretty common one, and then a Gold Rush. So I'm probably going to do 2 to 3 potatoes per feed sack, depending on the size of the potato. So like the Sieglindes, I'll do these 3 to 1 feed sack. I don't cut my potatoes. There's a lot of differing opinions. Some people think that if you cut it, you can get twice as many potatoes. A lot of people think that if you're cutting it, you're putting your potato at risk of disease if it's not calloused off properly, and you're not going to get the quantity or quality. It's really to each their own. I don't feel like cutting them, so I don't. These I'm also going to plant. These are store-bought potatoes that went to seed in my pantry. So I'm going to throw these in, and if we can grow some store-bought potatoes, great, because they're really not good for anything other than growing or compost. So it's pretty easy to do a feed sack potato. You are going to take your feed sack bag and you are going to roll the top down about halfway. This is really great for anyone who maybe lives in an apartment and has a balcony, but of course doesn't have the garden space for potatoes. You could do this in a planter pot. You could do this in a whole lot of containers. Basically, the container you want is to be big and deep enough. So you want it to be twice as big as what your finished plant will be. So like with the feed sack, we've rolled it down to half its size, and as the potato grows or as the plant grows, we will unroll and hill our soil. So you want to be able to have a pot that is fairly deep that you can continually add more soil to. So we have our feed sack bag rolled down, and you're just going to fill it about 2/3 the way with soil. Then you're going to take your potatoes, and we're going to do the Sieglindes first, and you're just going to plop them in. If you have shoots coming up, you want to make sure your shoots are pointing upwards. So I'm doing 3. I'll show you what that looks like. And then you're going to want to top it with soil. This is 3 potatoes. This will do nicely. These are 3 small potatoes, as you can tell by the size of my hand. So 3 small potatoes, And now we're going to cover it in about 2 to 3 inches of soil. Ouch, my foot's off. And so this is basically, we're done. We're done one potato, and it took me maybe all of 5 minutes. Now I'm going to go place this somewhere. You want to make sure that the location you're in is not in a location where they're going to be sitting in water. You want to make sure that they can drain water and they're not sitting on soggy ground. And you want to make sure that they're in full sun. And once you start to see your sprouts come out, like this, you are going to then want to hill your potato up to its first leaf. So it'll come out, it'll grow about 2-3 inches, and then we will hill the soil. So one more thing you need to make sure you're doing, get yourself a good knife. And along the bottom, you're going to want to puncture holes. So I usually just do 3 at the front. And they just need to be stab marks. They don't need to have any crazy design. Water will leach out of the bag on its own. But I do 3 in the front, 3 in the back, and call her done. And that's feed sack potatoes. It's so easy. And these 3 potatoes will produce anywhere between 5 to 10 potatoes each. So I could be looking at 15 to 30 potatoes in one bag. So I really enjoy doing feed sack potatoes. It's great for the kids. It's easy to water. And at the end of the season, it's like a giant scavenger hunt. The kids have so much fun tipping the bags over and hunting for their potatoes. And the nice thing with feed sack potatoes is you're not putting a pitchfork into your potato at the end of the season. So, I mean, there's lots of pros and cons to both growing. If I could grow potatoes in the ground, I probably would. But currently we don't have the time nor the energy to put in a big potato bed. So feed sack potatoes works great for our family. Going to top them up with some soil, and that'll be it for those. potatoes. They're popping their heads through the soil. And probably later on this week, I am going to come and roll up the bags. I might actually just leave the bags down, but I will fill the soil up to the top of the line of the bag. And if you have soil and your leaves are only this tall, it's okay if you just gently cover the area. But yeah, I'm gonna, by the end of the week, all of these potatoes will be covered with soil. And they just bust through. So it's pretty cool. Some of them are growing faster than others, but yeah, we'll come in. Usually you want about 2 to 3 inches of growth before you start covering, which is where they'll be at by the end of the week. So that is feed sack potatoes right there. And we've got 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 bags. So 14 bags of feed sack potatoes. Each bag has roughly 3 potatoes in it. You're looking at a minimum of 15 potatoes, or between 15 and 30 potatoes. So over 14 bags, you could be talking anywhere between 200 and 400 potatoes, just out of this small section. So it's a really cool way to grow potatoes if you don't have the space, or if you don't have the space prepped, or you just want to be more in control of it. This is what feed sack potatoes looks like. Ready? Yes?
I've already been going.
Okay. So I'm a little bit behind on adding soil to my feed sack potatoes, and they are way out of their bag. So you are going to want to roll up your bag and fill them up with soil. And I'm not overly gentle. I just push the soil in. Try to keep it in the bag. And just like that, our potatoes are filled back up again. Probably in about a week or two, I would say probably in about a week, I will roll this bag up again and I will add more soil. And once you get to the top of your bag, you're going to want to level off your soil and call it quits and just wait for your potatoes to finish harvesting. Just gonna make me